It's called the Clewiston City Commission Special Meeting to order. It's October 6, 2025 at 3 p.m. If you would, please stand and join me in a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, for our city of Clewiston. And Lord, we just thank you for all those that work here and protect our city. We thank you for our first responders. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you like to do the roll call?
I'm just a stand-in, but sure. Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Edmonds?
Here.
Commissioner Hyslop?
Here.
Commissioner Gardner?
Here.
Mayor Pittman?
On the agenda is two items. Because of the recent subpoena and search warrant that was issued to the city of Clewiston, I think it's prudent at this time. We've never had something like this, and that this is business as usual at the city. As you can see, our manager is still here. We have a couple people on vacation, but they're not here because they're on vacation, okay? So I want to assure our citizens that everything is under control and it's still business as usual here in the city. So with that, I'll open it up for, and again, these are items that we can't vote on, make a motion and vote on because these items are in our city charter. And again, these are items that we can't vote on, make a motion and vote on because these items are in our city charter. So we can't override the charter, but we can make a consensus as a board. And I think the manager, if we have a consensus, would agree to it. So it's open for discussion if anyone has anything.
I have some questions. I mean, you mentioned in the search warrant. Well, you have more information than I do. I haven't seen the extent of a subpoena or a search warrant other than they were delivered here. And so I have no idea what's in there or what they entail. And so I'm concerned that we're having this meeting to ask us to do something that is advisors under our city charter lies with the city manager.
Correct.
And I am not going to collude with you to change it because our
Not changing the charter.
yes we are, Jamie. Yes,
We're
we
circumventing
are.
it.
You in 2012, well, first in 2008, and then 2012, our city charter was approved by the electors of Clewiston, the residents of Clewiston, and they gave us clear direction on what we. I read this charter this weekend because I'm trying to figure out what the heck are we having a meeting for, and when I look at this, it is clear. This charter is set, and I even went further to look at a municipal charter. A municipal charter is vital to the democratic and effective functioning of a municipal government. It must contain basic other acts of the city commissioner faithfully executed. 2, to appoint or terminate department directors subject to city ordinance and personnel policy and with prior notice to each of the city commissioners. 3, to appoint, supervise, discipline, demote, suspend, or remove any city employee when deemed necessary for the good of the city, subject to city ordinances, resolutions, and city personnel policies. 4, and more. But the day-to-day management does belong to the city manager, and it does tell us our responsibilities as a city commissioner.
Yes, it does.
And for the public, I just would like to say that the Clewiston City Commission Charter is a council manager form of government. It is the opposite of what other city makes decisions on behalf of the city, and it's an elected position. 5 commissioners are elected, and one person is appointed mayor by this commission, and a vice mayor is appointed by this commission after each election. And it is clear what our responsibilities are, and they're not to take over, give orders to any such employee, either publicly or privately, except as otherwise provided in this charter. However, the prohibition against interference with administration does not prevent commission members from making inquiries of department directors for the purpose of obtaining information needed by them in the discharge of their duties, including constituent requests. Information provided to one commissioner should be shared with city charter, and I am not going to agree to something that I believe is trampling what the voters of Clewiston have given us twice.
I don't think he's saying he
I
wants
had
to
that-
take over.
I had both of those statutes pulled, or both of those pieces of the charter pulled up on my computer as well to cite. I feel like it would be redundant.
To the councils. All department heads report to the manager. The manager is fully responsible for municipal administration. The mayor council form of government gives the mayor a ceremonial head of the municipality.
Circumstances, there's appear to be directed at any particular members of staff or the city. It hasn't implicated the city in any decisions in and of itself. Appears to be related to possible procurement issues. Those procurement issues, having reviewed the target of the subpoena, they perform. Generally, when there is a procurement issue, it is a civil matter. It's not an issue for the state attorney or the sheriff to get involved in. I have been playing phone tag with the special prosecutor for special issues with the state attorney's office. I'll speak with her tomorrow. She's in trial at the moment, just to get a little bit of understanding of what the issues are, because there's shared with you. I know that I've shared with the manager. I'm like, no, we have no actionable information. No claim of any wrongdoing has been made internally to the city. There have been no whistleblower complaints. There have been no issues raised in public records requests or anything outside the city. For all I know, the investigation is targeting people who either don't work for the city or vendors outside the city that may be involved in other investigations. We have no coming from the sheriff directly. I don't know who they're coming from. And so I would just coming from the sheriff directly. I don't know who they're coming from. And so I would just, point all of that out for your own edification going forward on this point. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I mean, there's no implication of anybody on this sitting commission and or in the sitting office that anybody's done anything wrong.
And-
So, I mean, it's hard. I kind of agree. It's hard to say, all right, man, let's take this issue and push him on the back burner for now. There's no implication of anybody doing anything right now. I mean, that's more information than I got since anything's happened. That's the most information that I've heard
And I think
right now.
I think holding up city contracts is also not wise. I mean, we're here to do the business of the city. And if we hamstring ourselves, with this solidarity of no hiring and firing and, not executing new contracts, we are not doing the people's business.
I don't know. I think if the issue is with the contracts and the bids, and maybe it might be a good idea to hold that until.
agree.
You don't know that
Yeah,
that
I'm-
is the fact.
Just
I
what
do not
we're-
agree at all. You're not going to stop the city. We're going to continue. This is something that's nothing to do with us. We are doing what we should be doing, and I'm doing what you tell me to do. That's where it comes from. And it's put fear because I'm doing my job. And I'm not like the rest. I am going to do what is right. And you're not going to mess with the city. You're not going to mess with our money. You're not going to play games. I'm here for the taxpayers, and that's it. And I go through you. And this is out of control.
And like I told you before, man, as long as you're honest and transparent, I'm here. I'm here
That's
for
me.
that. So
And I'm glad you
100%.
mentioned about honest and transparency, because I know that we sat here through an entire budget process and went through every details, and there's so
Hours.
many rumors out there that he is going, and I think this is probably why the mayor has this on the agenda. There's been a lot of talk, probably in his ear, that he's going to do things that he discussed with us, and we told him at that time that he needed, and the finance director, they needed to analyze every department. We already had to cut. In fact, once we received a presentation here, and I'll tell it from the Clewiston Police Department for the former chief, he brought us a budget that was over our ad valorem taxes. The finance director and the manager both said this is not sustainable. And we all talked about it. The former chief even made some suggestions of what he was going to do. He was going to move it from 2 commanders to an assistant chief, the way it used to be. And we realized that there had to be changes. The next budget workshop, the mayor walks in and says, we're cutting $200,000 from the animal control budget. Just like that. Because when you look at the numbers, we don't have a choice. There has to be cuts. We said, with the city manager and the finance director, if there's open positions, do not fill them. Let us see where we're at, 9/30/25. We still haven't had a chance to look at that budget. But we knew back during the whole budget workshop and all the conversations that came before us that we were going to have to do cuts. City of Stuart, one of the wealthiest counties in the state of Florida, they're cutting $1 million from their payroll and benefits because they are feeling the squeeze. So if you can imagine that they're feeling the squeeze, what about us? What about us? And it's conversations we've had here on this dais, all of us together with our finance director, our city manager, and the staff that's out here. Now, I will say that it was brought up in these budget workshops that there was concerns with overtime. There was concerns with the city not being funded, or not being refunded for expenses because we went out of our area. I think those have been resolved, but there's still concerns. We still don't know what those final numbers are for this past budget year. And even though we kept the millage at a rollback rate, we increased the fire assessment to be able to fund what we need to do. So any discussion having to do with city staff and the removal process or the appointment process, that lies in the charter with the city manager, and he brings us the budget and the information that we review. And he's absolutely right. We gave them, as a commission, direction to look at all that and bring it back to us. Nothing's changed. Is that true, Danny? That nothing's changed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And by the way, there's no job cuts. That is something that's going around, that we were going to cut 6 jobs. Those jobs are not going anywhere. That's the rumors that start, and they got to stop. If they got anybody in this crowd or anybody here or anybody in this community, I have an open door policy. If you have your concerns, you come see me, and I'll be honest and upfront. You may not like what I tell you, or you may like it, but I am tired of the press getting misled, and I know exactly who's leading them, and I'm tired of it. So we are here to do what's right for this community. This, to me, right here, is a joke, absolute joke, this meeting, because we are doing great.
We are. And I, for a fact, did talk to you privately, Danny, about the job cuts and personnel cuts. And you did, in fact, tell me that there were no cuts to be made.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
I-
while we're doing the budget time, there were open positions that we said we weren't going to fill
that
them.
we were not going to fill
And we're going to
because
move
that
some
was
people
during our
around.
budget.
Absolutely. That has not changed. That was part of the budget discussions.
But I think what happens is that the citizens listen to the budget meetings and they see that we're going to cut, and then the rumor mill starts flying.
Oh, I think that comes from up here. No, ma'am, I don't think it's people watching. I think it comes from up here.
Well, and the other thing is, Danny, you did mention that you have an open door policy, and I have known that to be true. And I also know that not just you as a city manager, but in the past, when managers have had to make decisions with their supervisors, that some of the employees weren't happy with those decisions.
Sure.
And there is a process. There is an absolute process that we have to follow. It's called the personnel manual. And we've had people come before us asking us to reverse decisions. And we've done that. We've looked at it. We've made decisions whether we upheld administration or we didn't. We've discussed it. But there is a process if somebody's not happy.
Absolutely.
But what I think, you say this is a joke, Danny?
Absolute joke.
It is more than a joke. It is a smear campaign, not only against you as our city manager, but against this town. It has been worked up to smear Clewiston in any way possible, shape, or form that we do not know what we're doing. And I am so sick to my stomach to see what has happened in the smear campaign that has taken on of a very good and honorable man. That is not acceptable, not acceptable, because he bleeds for this town, not only 8 to 5, but 24/7.
24/7.
Not only 5 days a week, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And not only does he give service to this town, his wife, his helper, his helpmate, she volunteers extraordinary to this town to help us out, because we, as we just mentioned, do not have the budgetary influx of funds to be able to hire people. And that is what I'm appalled at, Mayor. I'm appalled by what's happening today here, and I'm appalled by the actions of many, which I believe you are very good friends with some of those, and you have more information on what's been going on. In my opinion, this is my opinion, and what I sense when I pray, that you know more about what's going on and the manipulation and the deceit that's been going on behind the scenes and what's been happening probably since December. And I'm really appalled. I'm very appalled.
Well, I think a lot of people are appalled, but on the other way. We've, and see, this is what I wanted to happen. I wanted discussion to come forth because things have been tight-lipped. We have employees that are afraid to speak up. I've had more than 3 employees come to me that were told, don't talk to a commissioner. I mean, I just don't think those things are right. And I think if you went out and did, I think if you went out and asked your, and not just, I'm not just talking about Danny, it's other directors. To tell someone they can't speak to someone else, I mean, they do that in communist states. They don't do that in
Well,
America.
let's circle right back to those anonymous letters that we received. I addressed those anonymous letters in a very public platform, just like we are here today. The people who are afraid to speak to a commissioner, should they be out there? Don't be. Don't be. We are here to listen to you. As city employees, we'll help you. We'll do whatever we can for you. But as you can see from what Commissioner Gardner read to you all, is the interference that we're allowed to run when it comes to city employees and the city manager, it is limited. But we will protect the city's employees at all costs. I have talked to several city employees, to include directors, that are actually feeling very targeted by some of the inquiries of like the recent days. You know, people who have thought maybe they should quit, maybe we don't want them here. And I have to tell them, no, please don't go anywhere. You're doing more in that position than we've seen done in the last decade, you know, and that's my biggest concern about all of this is the reputation we're going to have as a city. What is this doing to our hiring and retaining ability? We look like a joke. We look worse than Pahokee. I mean, let's just put it out. You want to air it? Let's air it. We look worse than Pahokee, you know, and we're expecting to get qualified candidates that want to move to. I mean, we want a qualified candidate that wants to commute to the area. Heaven forbid we want someone to come and live here and live, work, and play and pay taxes in this community. Who's going to want to do that after this? And I'll just leave it at that for now.
Well, when the state attorney authorizes a search warrant to come into our city and take any record they want, I felt it was my duty to call the commission to get this discussion, to see if, at least until that investigation is complete, to at least have things status quo. Just like when we appoint an interim director, things should stay status quo until we actually hire the permanent director. That's just the way things are done.
But you say we, it's not we, we're not doing that. It's the city manager's responsibility under our charter. We
Well,
don't,
quite frankly, status quo is trash.
okay.
Only while the investigation is taking place. That's it.
I'm not going to trample on our charter at all.
Nor will I.
Okay, well, we can't vote anyway. That's all I was looking for is a discussion, and if there's no consensus to do that, then that's fine. But I'm glad that it's in the open. I'm glad that you guys hear what's going on. No one, look, I hope when this thing's over, we go back to complete normal, nothing's found and we can move forward as a city.
You know, the sheriff could have come to me in his doubts. Why would he go to Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda?
What's that now?
State Attorney's Office. Why wouldn't he go to LaBelle? Why did he go? You know why. He's connected to someone there. So you take that upon yourself to go to some other state attorney's office that's not even local. I mean, enough's enough. Here's the deal. Business is business, and it's going to remain that way. I'm not allowing any of this to dictate this city. We're going to move forward with our grants. We're going to move forward with this Ventura project, the Francisco project, the wastewater plant project. There is tons. The smart meter project, the inflow infiltration project. There's tons of stuff going on. And I got to deal with this because somebody's scared. You know why they're scared? Because they know I will take care of them. If you don't do your job and your budget is out of control, you're darn right I'm going to be after you, because that's what you told me was to control the budgets. And that's what I'm going to do. If you don't, hey, I can retire. I should retire. I really should. But I love this place. And that's why I'm here. That's exactly why I'm here. My investor says, why are you working? You could live to your 93, well, which I'm not going to make. But I mean, can you imagine that? And here I sit to tolerate this? That's because I care. And I'm doing what I can for this community. And it really, right now, I am ticked that he would come after us, the sheriff. And how he treated my people is getting in their face. They don't even know why they're here. Have no clue. And talked about it all. They've made my people sign a piece of paper. You will not say what took place today. And on the golf course, everything that went down during the Elks Lodge was told on the course. Everything that went down. You don't think this is a joke? A targeting?
Target.
Get off of it. Let us take care of business. We are here to do what's right for the taxpayers, not this little buddy system. It's over. And this stuff going to Wink, whomever else, about hiring and firing, none of that's taking place. Come see me. I really don't want to talk to them. Trump's right. They're fake news. Absolutely. Fake
City Manager,
news.
has anyone been terminated?
No. No one.
What were the circumstances of their departure?
They resigned. Two of them resigned. Not threatened. One resigned on a Saturday, posted it on the news. Congratulations. Wink called me. I said, hey, great job. Wish him well. That was my answer. And then another one resigned. No fires. No layoffs. Business as usual. I am really, what really ticks me off is my wife. No, she's going through a lot. And it's because we got crappy people in this community that's targeting. Stand up, as I said. If you support me, I'll do it. But if you crack, I'll retire. Okay? And that's what I said. And I mean. Thank you.
Okay, with nothing further, we are going to,
We do have some members of the public who have asked to speak. If there's no additional commission asking, again, this is just,
We will do
Public-
commission comment at the end.
Yes.
oh, do you want to do your?
Well, we do it after
At the-
public comment.
So that-
I'm
this-
asking, are we doing that?
is there more to comment?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
This would just be, this is just, some of these are from news agencies. It's public comment, it's not question and answer, it's not the first one I have is Antonio Perez. If you'd like to speak, please come on up.
Again, I'm Antonio Perez. I know most of you here. I'm a friend of Danny. I also am one of his attorneys, so I'm here in that capacity also. But the news media that wanted to know what this is about, I guess you got to witness what this is about. This is about the minority trying to impose their will on the majority. There's two of you that appear to be on the wrong side of this. I'm going to tell you that Danny's a good guy. The good guys are going to win. I suggest you get on the right side.
Next comment card I have is from Miss Olivia Jean.
Good afternoon. My name is Olivia Jean. I'm a reporter with Wink News, and I'm here on behalf of residents of Clewiston, neighbors of Clewiston, a lot of whom have reached out to us in the past few days wanting some answers. They're confused, they're concerned, of course, with the raid that we saw here. And following these concerns, I contacted each and every one of you, texted, called, emailed. I heard from two, and I didn't hear anything from anyone else. So I wanted to come here and just ask you a few questions. And just to clarify, the information that us as the press are getting is coming straight from the sheriff's office. They send us press releases. I'm happy to share that with you guys. But the information that we're reporting is coming straight from the sheriff's office. So I wanted to ask you guys directly. What would you say to Clewiston neighbors who are concerned and confused right now and are not sure what to think of all of this? And secondly, is the city going to cooperate in the investigation? I understand there's some harsh feelings about the investigation right now. Are you going to cooperate? And we're, of course, Wink News is committed to being accurate and fair with our reporting. So we would appreciate if we could get some officials on the record because we have yet to be able to do so. Thank you.
I would like to answer your questions, Olivia. Number one, the city has cooperated fully, and I would expect that it would be the city's intention to do so. I don't think we've given any indication that we wouldn't cooperate fully. As to the confusion and not knowing what's going on, I would say, so are we. Like, welcome to the club.
We have no clue.
You know, the information that you're obtaining from the Hendry County Sheriff's Office, guess who's not getting that? This girl.
We're not getting it.
I haven't seen anything, any
Not getting any
correspondence from the
information.
Hendry County Sheriff's Office. So, you know, you ask us to answer and speak on these things, but we are literally just as in the dark as everyone else feels.
I think it's mainly just reassuring that everything's going to be okay. You're going to cooperate in the investigation.
Well,
I guess
hopefully,
that's my question
yeah,
is
and of course,
just
of
reassuring
course.
the neighbors here.
Cooperating, and hopefully this meeting today will reassure the community that it will literally continue to be business as usual. The city manager is in charge of the city. The city manager is in charge of executing contracts. Nothing has changed from, 2 weeks ago to today.
Did you get my calls, by the way?
I'm not answering anything
Okay.
when I don't know what's going on. I have
Okay.
no answers. As she said, we don't know. I have not received a call. When they walked in here and harassed my staff and basically trashed the place, they said nothing. Nothing. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, seeing no more comments. Staff comments, manager, attorney?
I think I've said enough.
I think I covered my comments earlier. I would just point out that the city is going to continue to cooperate fully. At this point, we have no reason to suspect that any current city commissioners or city staff are targets of investigations, nor do we have any evidence that the directions coming from any particular individuals. So at this point, it's a wait and see. If there are charges against city staff, I will come back to you as the commission to find out. Generally, if the work was conducted within their scope, we will generally recommend getting them counsel to cover it, and then we'll work through that issue. But I do want to point out that a lot of the concerns I have, and I've represented almost every single municipality and county in Southwest Florida, except for Everglades City. It's just too far for me to drive. At some point, the answer really is to cooperate. We're not trying to get involved in any forms of obstruction of justice. We're not trying to perpetuate rumors. There will be people talking. They will be saying things. A lot of it will be incorrect. There may be some truth to some of it. We're never going to know that until we can get with the state attorney to find out. And they're under no obligation to provide that information until it's closed. And if at the end of that investigation it turns out there were people with, bad intent, or if they're vendors who were, upset about one decision or another, then the city can look at taking other actions. If we get complaints that are valid with respect to HR policies, with respect to procurement, there are processes in place within our employee guidelines and within the code to challenge those processes through that manner. So, oftentimes, I find when there are investigations being conducted by especially criminal elements, whether it's the state attorney's office, sometimes with the federal agencies, they don't understand how local governments operate. They get confused, and they also don't understand necessarily what is a criminal issue and what is a civil issue. And so that often comes out during the investigation, and they find out they're not the party that has the jurisdiction to raise the issue. And when it comes to most of these things, it's things that should be handled internally. And that's the best I can give at this point until we get some additional information. But I'll do my best to find out some information and provide that to all of you.
Okay, commission comment?
You got that, 1 second. I'll be brief. My name's John Polhill, and I'm the brother-in-law to Danny Williams, and I'm proud to say that. There's not a more honest or man with integrity in this room than the man that's sitting right there as your city manager. I've had many people call about what's going on in this thing and asking about my family. I don't know anything that's going on, just like you as a commission. But I do know that man right there. And I'm telling you right now, there's not a better man to be doing for this city than what he's doing as your city manager.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Mason. I'm with Gulf Coast News. Also reached out to you guys. I just had a question for you, City Manager. I know that you brought up the sheriff when just speaking. Can you go further on that? I wasn't quite sure exactly what you were saying.
No, I'm not going to comment on anything. I mean, I don't know. I just don't appreciate how they approached us. They should have been more professional. They're the county. We're part of them. But it was just... it's a shame how they handled themselves, very unprofessional. And again, that's pretty much all I got to say.
Okay. Thank you. Also, I know you guys said you're confident that nothing is going on, but we do know that the search warrant is sealed, so a lot of us, like us as media, we haven't seen it. I know you guys said you haven't either. You might have seen a little bit of it, but I was just curious, like from your perspective, City Attorney, how you're confident that nothing is going on if you've seen the search warrant.
I'm not going to comment on, I have not seen the search warrant. Okay. I have helped to assist in the response to subpoena, but the subpoena itself indicates for us not to communicate on that matter. So if the sheriff's office wants to make statements on that, that's their prerogative, but the city's not going to make any official statements.
Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, commission comments. Commissioner Gardner?
I said quite a bit today, and I'm saying it because I have no doubt by the comments that have been made today that there is a group working behind the scenes to try to oust our city manager. They weren't able to do it with a smear campaign, with anonymous emails. They weren't able to do it with anonymous letters that we each received as a city commissioner. And it continues. Every move he makes is being watched by some folks who are associated with other folks. He can't even go outside City Hall without someone reporting where he's at, or who he's talking to, or how long they were talking. This is absolutely not acceptable in the city of Clewiston. Over the years, there have been people who have not agreed with the decisions that have been made by management. When we have a new management, that manager has the authority under the charter to make changes. And we've had some managers that have made huge changes, like 4 or 5 directors at one time. And we stood by that manager because that's what our charter tells us to do. His responsibility is to carry out what we've asked him to do. His responsibility to us is to also inform us of any changes, which he has done. And in the past, when those changes were made by other city managers, we listened, we gave our opinion, and those city managers made the decisions that they made. That has not changed. But what has changed is the tactic of trying to target a good man who's given every day to this town and to work for its betterment. He's not a perfect man. None of us are. Not one single one of us here can hide behind a facade and think that we're perfect and we can make all the decisions, because we cannot make the individual day-to-day decisions. Our manager is the only one, and he has the right to have the directors in place that he believes will help him execute the process that we have laid out. And so I am confident that he does that every day, and he assesses it daily. And I have seen over the years, right here in this city hall, where past managers made decisions that we didn't agree with, but there was a way to handle it. The commissioner would talk to the manager, and if the manager, there were still concerns, the commissioner would go to the city attorney. Mr. Rooney, were you contacted by anybody with a concern from the city commission or Kaylee about the city manager's performance and what was happening before all this happened?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So there's a process, even for us as a commission, that we speak to our city attorney to give guidance if we're not sure about something. But from what I heard today, Mr. Mayor, you've had at least 3 city employees talk to you, and I imagine it's probably a lot more than just 3, knowing where some of them attend church, that they're keeping you informed on some day-to-day activity going on here. And that's why we're having this meeting. And I'm very disappointed at the way things have turned out and how we're having to deal with this, when I believe that there is processes in place, as the attorney said, our personnel manual, state law, our ordinances, and above all, our charter guides us on what we need to be doing.
Yep.
That's it.
Commissioner Williams,
No comment.
Edmonds,
No comment. I stand fully behind our city manager.
Hillary?
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
I do have a comment, and as much as I don't like to do this, I am going to be reading it. I wrote something out so that I can make sure that I touched on, each individual piece that I wanted to hit on. So bear with me while I read. Before I begin, I want to make something very clear. My duty as a city commissioner is to serve the people of Clewiston, not special interests, not personal agendas, and certainly not politically motivated investigations. The events of the past week have cast a shadow over City Hall and over the hardworking people who keep this city running every single day. What has unfolded is not only disruptive, it's damaging, and the community deserves to hear the truth and a little bit of honest perspective. Yes, a search warrant was served on City Hall. To the best of my knowledge, that search warrant cited bid tampering. I don't think anybody wanted to say that, but there it is, and it cited bid tampering. But let's be honest about what that actually involves. This situation centers on a benefits procurement process which does not follow the same competitive bid requirements as other city business. To be clear, no bid tampering occurred. At worst, this was a procedural or civil issue, not a criminal act. And frankly, this kind of matter could have, as Commissioner Gardner said, been resolved with a simple sit-down with the city manager and discussion at our next regularly scheduled board meeting at the end of the month. Instead, this has turned into something that looks and feels like a criminal investigation. Deputies have questioned both current and former staff about topics far beyond those in the search warrant, things like hiring, firing, and credit card use, none of which are mentioned in that document. And I think it's very important for the public to note something. The very topics that law enforcement are now questioning people about, topics that fall well outside the scope of the said warrant, are actually the same exact topics that were on the agenda for today's meeting. A meeting that was called by Mayor Pittman and a meeting whose agenda was determined at the request of Mayor Pittman. That kind of timing and overlap is hard to ignore, and it doesn't happen by accident. And the public should be asking why. The public also should be asking, how did we get here? And why has something administrative been turned into a full-blown spectacle? These are fair questions, and so far I've yet to hear anyone answer them. It's also becoming increasingly clear that these investigations did not appear out of thin air. They are being stirred by a former disgruntled employee who resigned, by a current employee in a leadership role who is also unhappy, and most troubling of all, there is strong indications that at least one individual on this very dais has chosen to contribute to this chaos, and it's very disappointing. As elected officials, our job is to protect and strengthen this city. It is not to undermine it from within. When those in positions of trust choose to fuel instability, they're not hurting just City Hall. They're betraying the very people that elected them to serve. And let me be clear, this coordinated effort has caused confusion, it has damaged our city's reputation, and it has distracted from the work that we are here to do. But it will not continue to deter us from doing the people's business. As a commission, we have collectively demanded that the city manager make the tough but necessary cuts to bring our budget back in line with our actual revenues. This wasn't a casual decision. It was a matter of responsibility and long-term stability. The truth is, our revenues simply don't support the inflated budgets that were presented to us at the beginning of the budget cycle. Throughout this year's process, if I've heard the phrase sharpening the pencil one time, I've heard it 25 times, and that's exactly what we had to do. We had to go line by line, department by department, and make difficult choices to keep the city financially stable. We stood, all 5 of us, united in these adjustments because it was the right thing to do. And let's be honest, tough decisions make people uncomfortable, especially those who are benefiting from status quo. But leadership requires backbone and not popularity. Standing firm on fiscal discipline isn't glamorous, it doesn't always win applause, but it protects essential services, it maintains our infrastructure, and it keeps Clewiston on a solid financial footing for the future. This is the kind of leadership that the residents of Clewiston deserve. The citizens of Clewiston, have every right to know exactly what's going on here. A search warrant was issued for bid tampering and bid tampering alone. That's typically a civil matter. So how did this escalate into a criminal investigation? And why are agencies questioning staff about matters that go far beyond the scope of said search warrant? These are serious questions, and the people deserve real answers, not rumors, not speculation, and not political games. I also want to take a moment to speak directly to our city staff. You do not have to navigate this alone. I strongly encourage every city employee to ask the City of Clewiston to provide legal counsel before speaking with any member of law enforcement regarding this investigation. Not because any one of you have something to hide, but because you have a right to be protected. You have a right to be protected in what is clearly becoming a case of investigative overreach. The City of Clewiston was also fully within its rights to request a shade meeting before any public comment was issued by the mayor. That process exists to make sure that the city speaks with one clear and accurate voice. Bypassing that step was not only unwise, it has weakened the commission's role and our ability to protect the city's interest strategically, and that can never happen again. And finally, to those working behind the scenes to destabilize this government, let no one believe that they can bully this city, this commission, or our city manager into submission. Clewiston belongs to its citizens, not to political operatives, not to personal vendettas, and not to outside agencies acting beyond their authority. We will continue to govern, we will continue to make tough decisions, and we will not be intimidated into abandoning the responsibilities we were elected to uphold. And I'll end with this. I, for one, will continue to support the dedicated staff members who want to see this city move forward. I will continue to support the commissioners on this dais who are committed to acting in the best interests of the city of Clewiston and its citizens, those who are focused on growth, services, and progress. And most importantly, I will continue to support our city manager, Danny Williams, who for years has consistently done what is in the best interests of the city of Clewiston and its residents. And I believe that the people of Clewiston deserve nothing less.
The only comments I'll make is, as commissioners, we answer to the citizens, and because of the seriousness of the allegations that evidently came against the city of Clewiston with a search warrant, a subpoena, and then a search warrant, that's pretty serious business to me. I'm not ashamed that I've called a meeting to discuss this and get it out into the open a little bit, even though we don't know everything that the investigation entails or what they're looking at. But I think in any other city, if allegations and search warrants were served, steps would be taken to ensure that nothing serious happens to not only our city, but to our employees. And I'm glad that we had this discussion today. I'm glad it's out into the open. I really hate that Commissioner targeted me and accuses me of wrongdoing of any kind. That saddens me very much, and that just shows that just a lack of integrity or honor towards when you attack someone and accuse them of being part of it. That's just not good. I would never attack anyone up here and say that they are part of an investigation or a wrongdoing of any kind to cause an investigation. And as far as Mr. Perez's comments, I don't believe I'm on the wrong side of anything. I'm for Danny Williams. If we had another raid next week, I'd call another meeting after a few days to let the public know what's going on to the best of our ability. There's nothing to hide here at the city of Clewiston, and our public deserves to know what's going on. So with that, I believe and I hope that nothing comes out of this, and serious allegation and a search warrant is served on the city. I think it's something that any of us in our own personal businesses would do if those things came forth, to us personally. So with that, we will.
I have one more comment. I am entitled to my opinion, Jimmy, and this is a public meeting, and I am entitled to my opinion.
And you gave it, and I gave mine. So, good. So with that, motion to adjourn? So moved. Anyone? You want to stay here longer?
No, let's go. So moved.
We're adjourned.